What happened to Amasa during the rebellion of Sheba? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 2 Samuel on walking through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing 2 Samuel chapter 20, verses 1 to 13. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 2 Samuel chapter 20, beginning at verse 1. And there happened to be there a rebel, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew a trumpet and said, We have no share in David, nor do we have inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tent, O Israel. So every man of Israel deserted David, and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah, from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem, remained loyal to the king. Now David came to his house at Jerusalem. And the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in seclusion, and supported them, but did not go in to them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. And the king said to Amasa, Assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah. But he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, Now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your lord's servants, and pursue him, lest he find for himself fortified cities, and escape us. So Joab's men, with the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, went out after him. And they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. When they were at a large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came before them. Now Joab was dressed in battle armor. On it was a belt with a sword fastened in its sheath at his hips. And as he was going forward, it fell out. Then Joab said to Amasa, Are you in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa did not notice the sword that was in Joab's hand. And he struck him with it in the stomach, and his entrails poured out on the ground, and he did not strike him again. Thus he died. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba, the son of Bichri. Meanwhile, one of Joab's men stood near Amasa and said, Whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, follow Joab. But Amasa wallowed in his blood in the middle of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the highway to the field and threw a garment over him, when he saw that everyone who came upon him halted. When he was removed from the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. In the last chapter, following the death of Absalom, the 10 northern tribes were determined to bring back David from exile to make him their king again. Even though all of Israel rebelled, the northern tribes were more numerous, so if Absalom could get them onto his side, which he did, he had a much better chance of success. But Israel had made a covenant with the house of David back in chapter 5, and once the rebellion was over, Israel was intending to resume her covenant with David. In the beginning, Judah was nowhere to be found. David, knowing that this could be an embarrassment to him and to the nation, summoned Zadok and Abiathar the priests to get Judah to come. But as it turns out, David would have been better allowing Judah to remain home, for when their representatives arrived, they took the lead in bringing David across the Jordan. And while this might seem insignificant to us, to the northern tribes of Israel, it was an insult, for all of them hadn't arrived yet, and this wasn't even Judah's idea. Sibling rivalry is a real thing, even after almost 800 years since the original fathers of the tribes lived. And so, as we come to chapter 20, instead of someone mediating the disagreement, like maybe perhaps King David, another rebellion ensued, this one led by Sheba of Benjamin. Sheba proclaims that they have no share in David, a reversal of what was said in chapter 19, where they said that they had 10 shares in David, nor do they have an inheritance in the son of Jesse. Now it might seem like Sheba repeated himself here, for David was the son of Jesse, but Sheba here was insulting David himself, reducing David from a king to a shepherd boy, that he was when he lived back at home. And so angry were the northern tribes of Judah that they followed the voice of this man rebelling against David, following after Sheba instead. Think about it. What was to be a glorious day turned into an unmitigated disaster in rending the nation apart again. Only the tribe of Judah, which likely included Simeon, who lived among it, remained loyal to David. With nothing to do in the immediate moment, David returned home to Jerusalem, king, but only over what he started with, the house of Judah. When he came to his house, he took his 10 concubines that he had left behind and put them in seclusion, meaning his palace, but did not have sexual relations with them anymore. He made sure their lives were comfortable, meaning that he didn't punish them with death for having sex with Absalom, for Absalom probably forced him to. But David wouldn't have sex with them anymore due to Absalom defiling them. And yes, this is cruel in a sense, but even men today act this way when their wives have had sex with another man, either willingly or unwillingly. To his credit, David didn't abandon them or kill them. He did care for them, but they lived as if they were widows for the rest of their lives because what Absalom did. Something that was sad for these women, but I'm sure sad for David as well. David, though, if he wanted to be restored as king over all Israel, must put down the rebellion of Sheba. Otherwise, it could end up worse than what Absalom did to him, and at this time, David might be dead at the end of it. So David sent Amasa, his new commander, to gather troops from Judah, and in 3 days present them here so that they could go out to battle Sheba. But Amasa wasn't that experienced being a commander, having only been first appointed such by Absalom probably only a month or so before. And then, of course, Amasa lost the battle with David, and so he had trouble gathering men of Judah for the battle, so much so that he delayed past the 3 days that David had set out. But with each passing day, Sheba would be getting stronger and stronger, and so David couldn't wait any longer, calling Abishai to gather his mighty men, the ones who had been loyal to David when he fled, and go after Sheba, lest he find a fortified city and gather more strength. And so Abishai, accompanied by his brother Joab, did just that. Now Amasa and his men caught up to Abishai and Joab in Gibeon, a city not too far from Jerusalem in the tribal territory of Benjamin. It is here that Joab decides to take his revenge against Amasa and kill him. Now why would Joab do this? Because after all, Amasa is his cousin. Well, for one, Amasa led the armies of the rebels, and as such, in Joab's mind, deserved to die for treason. Never mind that David forgave Amasa. Joab didn't care about David's sympathy for his family. He might have even thought of David as weak because of it. But there's a second reason for Joab's actions. Amasa had taken the job that Joab had likely had for over 30 years, commander of the army. Under Joab, Israel had been successful in war, with Joab never having recorded of losing a war in which he commanded. Sure, he lost a battle with the Ammonites when Uriah was killed, but that was intentional. Joab won the overall war with them, though. And yet, even after all that success, he was being replaced by a man who couldn't even win a battle with David while going into that battle with a superior number of forces. Such was an insult that Joab wasn't willing to take. And so, just like he did with Abner, another man whom he considered a rival, Joab stabbed Amasa in the stomach so that he died. Therefore, if any man purported to follow David, they would follow after Joab, the commander of the army. Now, Amasa's death wasn't immediate, but he eventually died. And when he was dead, he was moved from the highway into a field with a garment laid over him so that the people wouldn't stop to stare. The rebellion led by Sheba needed to be quelled, something we'll see, Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 2 Samuel chapter 20, verses 14 to 26, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.